Imagine waking up, fully conscious, but completely unable to move. You can hear everything, you can see everything, but you are a prisoner inside your own skull. Sounds like a horror movie, right? But for millions of us, this is a daily, self-inflicted reality. You lie in the dark, bathed in this pale blue glow, just staring blankly. You're exhausted, your eyes are literally burning, you want to sleep, but your brain refuses to send the signal to stop. Your attention span totally shattered. Normal life feels unbearably boring now, and your motivation has completely vanished. Well, let's dive into this explainer, because what we're about to look at isn't just a bad habit, it is a fundamental rewiring of your neuroanatomy. And honestly, if you don't fix this, your brain gets permanently trapped. To really understand how this happens, we have to start with a terrifying philosophical thought experiment. You might have heard of it. It's known as the brain in a vat. The scenario goes kind of like this. Imagine some mad scientist removes a person's brain, suspends it in a vat of life-sustaining liquid, and wires its neurons directly into a massive supercomputer. Now, this computer feeds the disembodied brain electrical impulses that perfectly mimic reality. The brain actually believes it's walking, talking, and living a totally normal life. But in truth, it's just floating in a jar, completely disconnected from the real world, being fed a synthetic reality by a machine. But here's the thing. We don't have mad scientists harvesting brains just yet. We don't need them, because we willingly bring the vat into our bedrooms every single night. We plug our own brains into a supercomputer, your smartphone, and we literally let it feed us a synthetic, simulated reality of endless, rapidly shifting environments, trends, and emotions. You are voluntarily disconnecting from your physical environment. You are willingly becoming the brain in the vat, hour after hour. Section 1. The medical reality, cognitive motor dissociation. To see how this builds from a philosophical concept into a chilling medical reality, just look at locked-in syndrome. This is caused by severe damage to the brainstem. The patient is perfectly conscious, right? They have full cognitive function, full awareness, they can hear and understand everything going on around them, but their brain is completely disconnected from their body. They are entirely paralyzed, usually with the exception of vertical eye movements and blinking. Now, I want you to think about your exact physical posture when you're doom scrolling in bed at 2 a.m. You are lying perfectly still, completely disconnected from your physical surroundings, paralyzed by overstimulation, moving absolutely nothing except your eyes and one thumb. You're basically mimicking a locked-in state. And here is where it gets scary. The crucial point here is Hebbian theory, which states, neurons that fire together wire together. When you repeatedly engage in this localized, involuntary scrolling, you aren't just killing time. Your brain is a highly adaptable organ. Every single time you enter this passive, paralyzed state of extreme digital stimulation, you are physically altering your brain's structure. You're laying down thick neural highways that tell your brain, hey, this is your new default state of being. This creates what behavioral researchers actually call a loop of wrongness. Deep inside your brain, your amygdala acts as an alarm system, and a pathway called the cingulo-ocular network acts as a sort of error monitor. When you've been scrolling for 3 hours, your brain actually detects that something is wrong. You feel that baseline anxiety building up, right? You know you should stop. The error signal fires. But because of the constant dopamine hits from the screen, the signal literally fails to reach the part of the brain required to actually execute the stop command. So you recognize the error, but you are stripped of the neurological ability to halt the behavior. The loop becomes completely inescapable. Section 2. The modern digital trap. Weaponized algorithms. This inability to stop, it isn't an accident, it's an exploitation. Now you might think brain rot is just modern internet slang invented by Gen Z. It's actually not. Check out this quote from Henry David Thoreau all the way back in 1854, writing during a devastating potato blight. He was already warning about the human mind's dangerous tendency to prefer trivial, rapid-fire, low-quality stimulation, leading to a decline in intellectual standards. This vulnerability has always existed in the human brain. What's changed is that today, multi-billion-dollar algorithms have weaponized it. They are perfectly calibrating the delivery of cheap dopamine to keep your brain trapped in that loop of wrongness. And the impact of this is absolutely staggering. According to Oxford University Press, between 2023 and 2024, the usage of the term brain rot spiked by a massive 230%. This isn't just a linguistic trend. It is the collective cry of a generation reaching a psychological breaking point. People are realizing that their cognitive functions are deteriorating under the crushing weight of digital overstimulation. Section 3. Symptoms of a trapped brain, the evidence in your life. So, if you're wondering whether you are already caught in this trap, the evidence is probably in your daily routine right now. A recent study analyzing young adults aged 18 to 25 shows that high consumption of short form video content scientifically correlates with specific, measurable psychological damage. Your sustained attention, meaning your ability to focus on one task without getting distracted, is significantly reduced. Your sleep latency skyrockets, which basically means it takes you way longer to actually fall asleep because your brain is just buzzing with artificial arousal. And even when you finally do sleep, the quality is destroyed. You get less REM sleep, which, by the way, is absolutely critical for memory consolidation and emotional regulation. Because you're lacking that restorative sleep, and your brain is constantly assaulted by rapid, intense, contextless emotional stimuli, you develop what educational psychologists call emotional desensitization. This is exactly why normal life simply feels boring to you now. A conversation with a friend, reading a book, or just sitting quietly, it doesn't provide those aggressive dopamine spikes your brain has been conditioned to expect. You have literally raised the threshold for feeling anything at all, leaving you numb, unmotivated, and deeply dissatisfied with reality. Section 4. Escape the neural cage. Rewiring the system. Okay, here is the turning point of this explainer. Because the brain built this cage, it also has the mechanical power to dismantle it. This is thanks to neuroplasticity. Your brain is not a static machine. It's alive, and it's constantly reshaping itself. Think of your brain like a vast, overgrown forest. Your current digital habits, those are wide, paved highways through that forest. Your brain takes them automatically because, well, it's easy. To escape, you have to force yourself off the highway. You have to walk through the thick brush and forge a brand new trail. It is incredibly difficult at first, but with repetition, the new trail becomes a clear path, and that old digital highway begins to fade and grow over. But listen, relying on willpower alone to forge this path is a fatal mistake. Willpower is a finite resource. It will always run out. You need science-backed techniques to rewire the system. You have to shock the brain with novel experiences, disrupt your routine entirely. You need cognitive restructuring to challenge the thoughts that keep you scrolling. You can use visualization to mentally rehearse stopping. You absolutely must fiercely protect your sleep optimization, particularly that 1 hour before bed, because that is when your brain is most vulnerable to suggestion. And there's one more highly effective technique we need to talk about. This one requires physical intervention. It's called EFT tapping, stimulating acupressure points while engaging in cognitive restructuring, and it can literally rewire your stress response. Research shows that just 1 hour of this practice drops your cortisol, your primary stress hormone, by a massive 43%. By actively calming that overactive amygdala, you lower the alarm system, which actually makes it possible for your brain's error network to finally send that stop signal when you want to put the phone down. But we do have to manage expectations here. How long does it actually take to forge that new path through the forest? Well, the science suggests it takes at least 3 weeks to 2 months of relentless consistency for these new neural pathways to truly overwrite the old ones. The initial shifts will happen sooner, sure. You might catch yourself before a doom scrolling session even begins, but true automatic habit change requires time. Look, your brain didn't get trapped in a day, and it's not going to be freed in a day either. So the ultimate takeaway from all of this is simple. Every single action you take is a physical blueprint for your brain's future architecture. When you lie in bed tonight staring into that glowing rectangle, paralyzed in the dark, remember that you are actively wiring your own neuroanatomy. You have the power of neuroplasticity at your fingertips, but you have to actually make the choice to use it. Look at your life, look at your screen time, and ask yourself, right now, are your habits building a cage or a key?